First of all, I want to thank you all for being here. It is really important, as Don has stated, it's just so important that we are all moving in the same direction. And Jeannie and Don have really actually been a catalyst to all of this because they grabbed me very early before I was even in office. They said, you know, you got to figure out how to be more united in the approach of being able to bring people together and having us all move in the same direction. And it was extremely important. I listened to what they were saying. You know, things are going, sometimes when we start to come out of a bad place, we sometimes forget where we came from. And it's very easy to understand that not too long ago, we couldn't have gotten a group of people in a room like this to be able to try to work together. And I'm going to tell you that anything we do, I really don't care who gets the credit, but I know that this place was destined to be much better than it has been. And it's only going to get better if we have people like you willing to work together to be able to move this thing forward. It isn't about who the mayor is. It's not about any of that other politics stuff. It's about trying to get people to work together inside Toledo to make it what it used to be. You know, so often when I was coming up in the city of Toledo, and I know a lot of you have been here most of your lives, you would have people talk about, man, I wish Toledo could do this. Man, I wish Toledo could do that, or whatever. Why can't we do this here in the city of Toledo? Well, the only reason is because everybody's gone their separate ways. They don't go in the same direction. They choose to go, I'm going to do my thing, you do your thing, and if we both end up doing okay, that's fine. If you don't, I'm okay with that too. And that has to change. We have to start moving together. You know, the place where we started, and I have to tell you a little bit of the history when I first came in, it was messed up. I'm not blaming anybody. It was just messed up. Some of the things that we were doing actually inside our city just was not working. Okay, when we got on board, yeah, we had some financial problems, and I'm not blaming anybody for that, but we had to be able to fix it because nobody really wants to hear excuses. They want to know how you're going to move things forward. And so we sit here today in a position compared to where we were at a few years ago, a long ways down the road. And we can go a lot farther if we're able to engage everybody in a movement to move Toledo. You know, I come downtown and I'm liable to end up anywhere. You know, it just depends on what night it is and what I'm wearing on where I'm going to end up, okay? And of course, what I'm riding, okay? On where I'm going to end up. Right, Ken? Right. And it is just amazing to me, the energy that when you come downtown, that these young people have. You may not know it, but if you were to come down here on a Friday, Saturday night and just talk to the young people, not only here down near Manhattans and everything else, they are so positive about what Toledo can be. Their attitude has started to change. But see, our problem here is changing our attitude. For some reason, we believe that this, compared to any other city, is a second-class city, or third or fourth. If somebody else lines up, obviously we're always going to stand behind them. Well, that's got to stop. Because in this city, we have more positive things going than most cities. Now, I will tell you point blank, we have not done a good job of marketing ourselves. And that's that branding thing that you see on this sheet of paper. We have not done a very good job of that because most people don't know what Toledo's about. But once they get here, they get extremely excited about what Toledo's about. Toledo's about you. You're the ones that are making them excited, but you're not taking credit for it. You know, when we came aboard, you know, we got people that say that our city, and we'll sit and we'll let people do this to us. We have people that say, you know, your city, it's not safe. Really? No, it's not safe. And those same people get on a plane or bus or car and ride to Chicago. Okay? They kill more people in a weekend than we kill in 6 months. In a weekend. But you don't hear them talking about how unsafe Chicago is. But if we lose one person, we have all of a sudden become unsafe. We have a beautiful waterfront. You don't hear a whole lot of people talking about that. But people who come and visit us, they go crazy over it. If you want to know how I ended up in China, it was actually because of our waterfront. And what happened is that I get a call. Comes to Dean Monsky, says, Mayor, you need to go. We got some people coming in. They want to see you, and they want to just talk about Toledo. So I remember this Mr. Chu couldn't speak any English. He was sitting at the Real Seafood, and he was looking across at the city of Toledo. And in the middle of his meal, he got up and he just walked away and he walked over to the rail. And he was still chewing. And he was just looking around. He says, you know what, Mayor? He says, you have an unbelievable city here, through his translator. He says, have you ever thought about marketing it? He said, because before I came here today, I never knew where Toledo was. I didn't even know Toledo. He said, look at this skyline you got here. Look at all this stuff you have going on here. This is unbelievable. He says, if you come over to my country, I'll help you market this place. That's how it all started. And why did I go? Because if you think back 3 years ago, we had absolutely nothing to lose. We had a deficit that was through the roof. We had laid police officers off. We weren't putting people in fire stations. We weren't doing a whole lot of things. We didn't even have positive income coming into the city. We were working off of a deficit. But somewhere in between there, people started to believe in us. People like yourselves. They started believing in us and they started saying, you know, we're willing to take a chance one more time on Toledo. Now, the way I know that they started believing in us is because they actually started leaving their money where their mouth was. You know, the idea that, and you may not know this, but we have not run into negative numbers inside the city budget since June of 2010. The only way that's happening is because businesses are still investing into our city. I find that to be pretty amazing. It is great as a mayor to think about the assets that we have here. Huntington. When we start talking about our Huntington Center and our mud hens and our walleye, certain cities would love to have what we have going here. You know that one of the complaints I got early when I was a mayor, I get these calls and they say, Mayor, we're upset. Well, what happened? Well, on a Wednesday night, I came downtown and I couldn't find a parking spot. Now, I don't know if you remember this. There was a time you could come down here on a Wednesday night and you could fire a cannon down the middle of the street and not hit anything. And you know, as a good mayor, I go, I'm going to get right on that. But I was just happy that there weren't no parking spots, because that says a lot. You know, with the entertainment venues that we have here, the people that we bring in, compared to a lot of other cities, when I tell them about what's going on in Toledo, they cannot believe that we have all this stuff. The hardest people to turn around in this city are Toledoans. That's why we started coming up with this, because we really wanted to actually engage Toledoans in saying, okay, if you had an opportunity one time in your life, one time, that's all we're asking, one time, to change this place, what would you do? What do you see that's broken? Because it can be fixed. Everything we got going right now can be fixed. The question is, how many people are prepared to step up and do that? See, our lives depend on us being able to do that. Our economic welfare depends on us being able to do that. We have the ability and the means to do a lot of things, But like I said, from the mayor's office, I've watched from a distance, and it's starting to get so much better. But I can remember when I first got here, I used to shake my head. I said, well, I don't know if we can pull this thing off, because we can't seem to get the right people in the room to show any type of passion toward the issues that we need to be able to address. And I can tell you that I feel so good today, looking around this room, looking at the diversity of the room, looking at a packed room. If we get everybody in here to come up with ideas and we all stick together, we can take this thing, we can turn it into anything we want it to be. Anything. You know, so often, if we can turn this around, what does it do? It helps every business person in here. It definitely helps the housing market. It helps the real estate. It helps the bottom line in being able to create city services. It helps everything if we're all moving in the same direction. So that's why it's so important that you're here. My vision for this place is being something better than any Tier 2 city in the United States. And when I say Tier 2, what does that mean? Not second class, Tier 2. I'm not shooting to try to make this place 1 million people. I'm shooting to try to make it the highest quality of life in the region. And when I say in the region, that is inclusive of Maumee and Perrysburg and Oregon and all those other places, because here's the thing. If you live in those places, if you think we're not attached, just think about that. How do you, whether you're at the front portion of the boat, let's just say the front portion is Perrysburg, and the back portion is Oregon, and the center portion is Toledo. If you think your boat can take a major hole in the middle of it and still survive, you're sadly mistaken. So we are all equally attached to each other, regardless of whether we're in this particular city direct or the surrounding cities. We're all attached, and we need to figure out how to do this together. When we go out and we're marketing Toledo, we're not necessarily just marketing Toledo. We're actually marketing Northwest Ohio, which everybody in here has a part in. We market our airport, we market our riverfronts, we market our port, we market everything, and we realize that some of that stuff doesn't sit directly in Toledo. So it is important that we all move in the same direction, that we quit trying to set up these arbitrary walls that do not allow for us to be what we can be, because other cities have figured it out. They figured out that if they work together like we're sitting in this room, if they work together, they can kick our butt. That's how it turns around. We have to be the ones saying, okay, enough is enough. We're going to start to work together. It doesn't make a difference where you're sitting, where your house is sitting. Because we all live here, we're going to make it happen. Just imagine this. This weekend, we got 2 high school football teams in the state finals. 2. Most cities can't get 1. For a long time, we couldn't even get 1. Okay? We got 2 football teams that are actually putting Toledo on the map. And those kids are going to play their hearts out this weekend. But there was a time when people would say, well, nothing's going to come out of Toledo. I guarantee you this weekend they're thinking about something coming out of Toledo. Okay? Big time. And when they both win, if we don't step up as a community and support them big time, what have we not taught those kids if we don't do that? Okay? Because this is what it's about. We have an Olympic star that came from here. Went out and told about Toledo across the world. But nothing ever good comes out of Toledo. See, that's what I'm saying. We have to start building ourselves up. That's a simple branding thing there. I'm quite sure he'll be on the box of Cheerios, okay? But do we see him anywhere in Toledo? How do we take him and brand him? How do we take our teams and brand them? Our walleyes, when we travel and we talk about the mud hens, right away if I tell somebody I'm from Toledo, oh, that's the mud hens. That's Jamie Farr. That's this, that's that. That's why it's so important. First of all, let's just figure out how to make this thing happen. The reason I'm saying this with so much passion is that what we're trying to do here goes way past the point of me being a mayor. Way past the point. Regardless of who the next mayor may be and whenever, what we're trying to do here goes way past that point. because it took a long time to get to this point, and it's going to take a little time to get out of this. But we're moving in the right direction. We got the right people sitting in the room. We got people that care about education. Education is a big deal for us. That's going to be our next major thing that we need to be able to help Dr. Pecker with, and all the other schools that are in the system. It's important. Our kids are our future, but they got to believe, they got to know that people aren't walking away from them. A lot of times they feel that we're walking away from them, that we don't care. And I know that's not the truth, but it's what I hear as a mayor, because I move around a lot. I talk to little kids. They tell me things, and it's very interesting to listen to them, because they ask the whys that I can't give the answers to, and that is very frustrating as a mayor. We want them to want to stay here. You know, the opportunities to change some of these old buildings. If you look out this window here at these old buildings, there are people that we have talked to that would love to have the opportunity to invest in those things. And we're reaching out to try to get them there. But we can turn this place around. My vision is about how do we get more young people in the downtown area. Most cities that turn themselves around, the core portion of that is having young people in your downtown area. Because when they come down, everything else starts to happen around them, you know? And I'm going to keep talking to the university, Dr. Jacobs, and all the people to see if we can't get something that helps us up downtown here. I think that that's extremely important, because other metropolitan cities that have become extremely successful, that has actually been a kickstart for them to have young people in the downtown area. The idea of some people who have stepped up already and reinvested in our city from the standpoint of our apartment buildings and things like that, they're actually extremely successful right now. Nobody would believe this, but do you know that for some of the apartments in the downtown area, there's actually a waiting list?
It's full.
Oh, excuse me? It's full. Okay, if you want to stay downtown Toledo, see Bill later on, he'll start the list, okay? He'll start the list, but you can't get down here. So what I'm saying is that we're creating opportunities for everybody. A lot of it has come through this little sheet that you see on the table. I don't have to go through those accomplishments because they're there, and they're real. This is your opportunity to create another one of these sheets. Now, I can tell you that Jeannie and Don, when we first started doing this, most people, when we put the stuff down on a piece of paper at the beginning, they didn't think we were going to do any of these things. Because, you know, mayors, you come in, you just tell them what they want to hear, then you do what you want to do. But if you go down and look at this sheet, if you look at the old one, we have covered every issue we said we were going to cover. And I'm going to tell you that being a mayor here in the city of Toledo is not an easy job. It gets sort of ugly sometimes, okay? Mom, you don't even want to know some of the things they've called you, okay? But if we're going to turn Toledo around, sometimes things are going to have to get a little ugly. We cannot stay status quo. We cannot continue to do what we did to get into such a hole that we decide to do it again. I don't, like I said, I don't care who the mayor is. You cannot afford to do that ever again, because it is so important that we keep this thing rising up. This is a great city. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into questions and answers. But my passion is unwavering for this city. The reason it is that because of all the things I've said, I realize that everything that I'm about, and the only reason I came back here to do this, was because everything I'm about was created by people in Toledo. Everything I've done has been because somebody from Toledo helped me do it. You know, we had a delegation, I'm looking at Harlem there. We had a delegation last week that just got back from China. And it was really interesting because that delegation had about 20 business people. And they didn't know what to expect. You know, a wild time over there. We go over there and we just have a good time. It's just a party. Right? When they got over there, what was very impressive to me is to start off with, they were extremely focused, but then they understood what we were trying to do. They said, you know, Mayor, before we got over here and we saw what's going on over here, we got to tell you, we were doubting what you were doing. Because to us, the concept of international, Toledo being an international business center, international anything, just was not a vision. But they understand now. They understand now, we're not trying to take anything away from Toledo. We're actually trying to increase it. We're trying to make it something that it really was always geared to be, sitting on a port, an international city. It was geared to be something much bigger than where it's at right now, but for some reason it hasn't moved. So this whole idea of what we're doing here today, this is about what we can do together. Not Mayor Bell, what we can do together. Every one of you has a responsibility to turning this place around. If it's not for the quality of life, it's for your own financial welfare, that we need to be able to fix this thing. And so that's why we're so happy today that you're here, that you're engaged, and we really want your ideas because we will follow through with them. This is not a blank promise. If you give us the ideas, we get majority agreement that this is where we need to go, I will follow through with the ideas. I don't care what the political impact is. Because, see, that's part of where our problem is, too. People worry about the political impact more than they worry about the citizen. I'm not worried about the political impact. You give me the most difficult thing you got, I'll bring it. Because, see, here's for me, and this is about me right here, this part here. I don't want to be a mayor of a city that doesn't want to move. I don't. I want to be part of something that is moving, that is energized, that's bringing its people together, that's making them feel a part, that's making them feel like we did this. And I guarantee you, if you guys stay together with us, 3 years, 5 years from now, you'll see it. You will see what's happening. We will start to turn this place around so big that people will be writing stories about how did Toledo do it. I can tell you that you're the catalyst starting it here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this back over to Steve Cady, and we're going to answer any questions that you might have. I'll be around the whole time, and I just appreciate, from the bottom of my heart, all of you being here and caring enough about Toledo to show up today. Thank you.